Hi everybody, it's Dystopian Wars week here at OnTableTop, and we have two amazing prizes up for grabs. Our first prize is the Sturginium Skies 2-player starter set. For your chance to win, get your comments in on YouTube. Our second prize is the Hunt for the Prometheus 2-player starter set. The winner for this prize will be chosen from comments on OnTableTop.com.
Hello everyone, we are back once again for another Dystopian Wars faction chat, and this time we are looking at the Covenant of the Enlightened. I'm joined by Chris from Warcradle. So, big name in Dystopian Wars.
Yeah, the Covenant of the Enlightened are certainly kind of, I suppose, the poster boy for Victorian super science in the dystopian age. As a faction, they aren't really made up of any nations in particular. They are a conglomerate of these enlightened scientists who tend to be either very rich, very influential, very resourceful individuals who have a vision, and their vision is that their way of life, their technological superiority is the way to guide humanity into a brighter future and a more peaceful future. And sometimes that peace can only come through annihilating all those who stand in your way.
Well, you know, peace comes at a cost sometimes, and if the only way to remove warring states is to subjugate them, then so be it. But it'll all be peaches and cream on the other side.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the theory at least.
Yeah, it's a good theory. I like it. So on the map, they're not located in one particular region geographically, but Antarctica is kind of their spiritual home, is it?
Well, many of the enlightened peers, or a small number of them, believe that Antarctica belongs to them and is kind of their spiritual home, if you like, because it represents freedom and the advancement of technology that's come from the arc vault that Sturgeon discovered, and therefore brought a lot of very advanced technology from what some people have rumoured to be a crashed alien ship. But, you know, those rumours are yet to be substantiated.
Yeah, we'd have to send somebody to Antarctica to double check that, and at the moment nobody wants to. There's an ice wall there, I've been told.
There is a presence, as you were saying, there is a presence. You can see these cogs that are distributed across the map, and they represent Promethean complexes, which are these massive industrial units. Well, they're all different because they're all operated by a particular peer, and therefore they represent what that individual wants to achieve. It might be that it's simply a source of learning and development, but sometimes it's more of a military or certainly an engineering focused area that produces these incredible machines that the enlightened want to put on the table.
Yeah, so it means there's not a capital that people can go after. It may be an island somewhere that's one professor and let's say Mr. Babbage, for want of a better. But, you know, he's there with a small group of students and they're just tinkering and doing the theoretical stuff. And the next one could be some massive all guns blazing fortress that you wouldn't want to come within.
And a lot of it is unknown.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things within the Enlightened that a lot of the nations just aren't aware of. You know, for all we know, the Enlightened could have access to these enormous submerged factory units, strongholds that, you know, that just have these massive tentacle heads that pop out. So this is purely theoretical.
Theoretical,
course,
none of this has been proven,
so yeah, that could exist. That could be a thing. We just don't know.
Yeah, and I suppose it means when they are scattered across the globe, they've no end of enemies because their means and methods are somewhat obscured and obfuscated. So just because you happen to be at the end of the empire or on a far little reach of the Commonwealth doesn't mean that all of a sudden you won't be the heaviest feature of the Enlightened fleet, because they want something that you don't even know you have at the moment.
Absolutely, and they're playing the long game. So, you know, there are certain things that the Enlightened do, certain conflicts that they get involved in, and it's not necessarily absolutely immediately apparent why they're doing it, but there is a plan. There's always a strategy behind it.
Okay, so if we take a look at the Enlightened's order of battle, then they are a nationless conglomeration, but with some of the sort of the highest technical level within all of the factions.
Yeah, absolutely. And what that does, let's just talk about the Orbat quickly before I get onto that. So the Orbat you can find on the website, and it shows all the rules that you need for the Enlightened, all the special things that make them unique. And it shows you all the stats for all their units, as well as the way you build a battle fleet.
Okay.
And the battle fleets are created by following the rules here. It's all laid out. You must take a flagship. It's usually a mass 3 unit or more.
Okay.
And you then add different units with certain traits. The Enlightened faction battle fleet is quite open, but doesn't give you any bonuses. Then if you look at the more thematic, more limited battle fleets, they give you certain benefits that give you a thematic bonus that allow you to kind of focus in on a particular rule or a particular unit, and gives a real flavour to your fort. Okay.
So what are the sort of the standouts with those specific focused battle fleets?
So the Cetacean battle fleet, which is kind of the core battle fleet for the Enlightened, is made up of the Dakar and a number of other units that carry the Phyceta SRS tokens, so the whale, cybernetically enhanced whales, which are a big popular selling point for the Enlightened.
I imagine so.
But for me, we've recently released the Archimedes. It's a rather glorious looking ship.
It's a handsome looking thing with, I've no idea what that generator is doing in the middle of it.
Well, it does a number of different things.
Okay.
And that's one of the big things about the Enlightened, is they have a number of different types of generator and special rules that set them apart from other factions. If you want to play something different, if you want to play something unique, and if you want something with lots of different rules that you can really get your teeth into, if you're that rules guy who can really absorb everything and then see a clear path as to how you can use those things to achieve victory, then the Enlightened really are for you. They're a bit like the Swiss Army knife faction, in that there's a lot of different tools that they can bring to bear, and it gives them a lot of different functions on the tabletop.
Yeah, I suppose they're somewhat unique beyond that, in that they're not tied to a real world nation, which means there's not the idea, well, we expect the Crown to behave like this, we expect the Union to behave like X, Y, or Z. They had ironclads, they had broadside, whatever it happens to be. So with this, from the ground up, there's no pre-existing expectation of how this fleet would behave, and therefore you can really lean into whatever style of play you want, and the types of ships within that fleet as well.
Absolutely. So, as you say, you can be an Enlightened player, but one day you can be playing a very, aggressive, in your face, close up game. The next time you can play something that's a little bit more reserved, held back, throwing loads of SRS tokens forward. Their SRS tokens are quite resilient to damage because of the way they're coordinated. They can take a lot of incoming fire, so your interceptors aren't going to be as effective against them. They also have the ability to defend against gunnery attacks and broadside attacks, which normally you don't get defenses against, but they get a limited number of defenses against them because of the advanced nature of their defensive weaponry.
Okay. So taking a look then at some of the tech behind the fleet then, there are, I suppose, the various types of generators that you were talking about, as well as the weaponry itself.
Yeah, I mean, I could be here all day talking about these particular weapons, but the Callimachus Chrono Lathe is one of my favourites because it allows you to remove points of damage from friendly ships.
Oh, right.
So it's like an auto heal ability, which can make a massive difference if you want to bring a ship from crippled to battle ready in the middle of a turn. That's a great way to really spring a surprise on your opponent. But it also has the added ability to teleport a ship in from reserve.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's all, and it
really is a Swiss Army knife there.
Yeah. But it's all about time manipulation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of reversing time or forwarding time to a certain point where the ship is there.
The ship
in
is there,
a very localized point. So it speeds it into the action.
Really, why are people not just knuckling down under the oppressive thumb of the Enlightened? It's what we all want.
The other thing, from a style of play, the Enlightened weapons tend to have, with the exception of a couple of them, tend to have fewer dice. They're not as dice heavy as some of the other weapons that you get in other factions, but they have a lot of qualities, which mean that they're either ignoring shields, they're re-rolling dice. So you're getting a lot more bang for your buck. And that means that they can be overlooked at times, and people look at the weapon profiles and think, well, those weapons just aren't very good. But when most of your weapons are sustained and you're re-rolling everything except blanks, you're doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, it really changes the outlook of things. I suppose the predictability of actually doing damage is more important than the massive dice that may not be for other fleets. Yeah,
so if you're the type of player who doesn't make regular sacrifices to the dice gods and therefore roll blanks left, right and centre, or
guilty,
don't roll as many hits as you like, then maybe the Enlightened are the ones for you.
Okay.
The other side effect of having a lot of re-rolls means that the Victory and Valour cards you have in your hand that grant you re-rolls don't need to be used as often. So it means you've got to use those as victory
and score.
So you can score more points off the back of them. You don't have to rely on those cards to re-roll those embarrassing rolls where you think you're about to take someone's ship out and for some reason you don't hit anything. The other thing they have are agitation weapons. So the Sturginium Agitator is a weapon that it agitates Sturginium. It does exactly what it says on the tin. And Sturginium is this superconductor that's used within the superstructures of ships throughout the dystopian age. And therefore, the bigger the ship, the more dice you get.
Okay,
And the closer you are, the more you can agitate. So
using its mass against it.
Yeah, so on a mass 5 ship, you're at close range, you're doing 5 dice times 4.
Okay.
Which
that will stack up.
Yeah, and they're hazardous as well, so you're adding disorder. So again, the different add-ons for the qualities actually make them a lot more interesting than they first appear.
Yeah.
But again, because they're quite rules heavy, it does take a few games before you stop forgetting to use all of those things.
Start small and spam. Reproduce things that do a similar job on the tabletop multiple times until you get those sort of down pat and then add. What about some of the ships within the fleet then? Are there any outstanding that
well, we've got them in the background there, so it would be rude to not mention the Ketos and the Lotan, which are the Colossus automata. The Enlightened do have they don't have the monopoly on automata, but they are certainly one of the best, followed closely by the Empire for automata. And therefore they have these really quite cool looking units, which can do some very interesting things. And one of my favorite things is the Apocalypse Protocol, where if it's crippled, it's about to be destroyed, it can self-destruct and do some damage to things around it. So again, you have this ability that is a bit of a surprise to your opponents, which, I quite like that play where you don't see this coming.
No, well, they won't see it the first time, but I'm fairly certain that they'll keep an eye out for in subsequent games, mind you.
Yep. So that's an interesting play, and they're lovely miniatures. They're really, really nice.
And the Lotan, something similar then?
The Lotan, yeah. So that's the alternate version.
Okay.
So the Lotan and the Ketos come in the same sprue, so you can build either one or the other. And it's just a mix of whether you want something that's a little bit more close up and aggressive, or a bit more standoffish that can attack at range. Yeah. Obviously, when you have an apocalypse protocol, why would you not want to go? Yeah,
get up close.
Get up close.
You've got many limbs there to hug your opponent's ships with. Everybody wants a hug, especially from an exploding Colossus.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, folks. That is the Covenant of the Enlightened. If you're interested in starting with this faction, they're actually in the Hunt for the Prometheus starter set.
That's right, yeah.
So it's a great way to jump in straight away. If you have any questions, please pop them below. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hi everybody, it's Dystopian Wars week here at OnTableTop, and we have two amazing prizes up for grabs. Our first prize is the Sturginium Skies 2-player starter set. For your chance to win, get your comments in on YouTube. Our second prize is the Hunt for the Prometheus 2-player starter set. The winner for this prize will be chosen from comments on OnTableTop.com.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.